This is Skull and Bones closed beta, and I got access to it by Ubisoft. I'm gonna test it out today on an RX 6600 GPU paired with the Ryzen 5 3600 and 16GB of DDR4 memory. So let's get right into it. First, let's get into the options and let me show you the settings here. I am using 1080p right now. There is no exclusive full screen mode right now, which I can see from my side. Alright, and 1080p is turned off. Field of view is at 115%. Alright, and in the graphics option, I'm using the maximum possible with TAA currently at native. So there is no FSR2 being applied currently. Alright, and ray trace global illumination is turned on, and I don't know if it actually makes a difference because the graphics of this game, as you will see in a little while, they don't look that good in my opinion. Alright, so I just cleared the first part of the game. I hope you guys tried it yourself also, but I cleared the first part of the game and now I am on land and I need to complete some missions here. So first of all, let's check into the performance, how it's performing actually. Let's start counting the frames here. And as you can see, we're getting about 55 FPS on native 1080p at ultra settings with global illumination on RT. And as you can see, the frame rate is quite stable, and the game, in my opinion, it looks good, but it doesn't look that amazing. As you can see, the textures for the plants and stuff and the rocks and everything, they don't look that amazing. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora just came out, and it's really good looking in my opinion compared to this. So this game has been in development, I think, far more longer than Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, and Ubisoft been delaying this game for a long while, and still this is the result that we get. I'm not impressed with the graphics, but I don't know about you guys. Maybe you guys like it and you guys want to play it. But let's move on ahead and let's see if we get some drops in the frame rate. So looks like I got a mission, guys, and I need to go to the other shipwreck and find some stuff there. Let's try to move there. I don't know how are we supposed to sail this here. Doors open. Okay, I need to push the button on green. Okay, now I can. All right. So we are on the shipwreck now, and looks like there is not much of a difference. It is about a 10 FPS difference on this ship compared to the island. So island seems to be more intensive compared to that this part of the ship part. Yeah. But as you can see, I don't know if this game is actually using RT global illumination. What I'm going to do basically is I'm going to turn off now, as there is a specific setting for the global illumination. Let's turn it off. Let's go back. So there is some FPS improvement, like 5 FPS, but the visual difference, as you guys can see, there is not much of a visual difference here compared to non-RT and RT. Yeah. So I don't know if it's working correctly or this is the way. Maybe it's pre-calculated RT or something like that. Or we're supposed to kill. Okay. Let's move on from these shenanigans and let's see what performance are we getting. As you guys can see, it's still about in the 60s, even though the RT global illumination is turned off currently. So I'm gonna enable RT back, guys, because it's not making much of a difference in performance. So there is no use. Maybe it's doing something, I don't know. Or if it's not, I don't see much of a difference between the two options. So we are now sailing towards somewhere else, maybe a new island or something. Let's see how we perform there. So guys, looks like we are on a new island, and this looks like far more demanding than the previous one. So we're going to try to actually test the performance on this place now. What are these glitches, guys? Okay, so we just entered the city and it's far more intensive. As you can see, we're in the 40s now. So this is I think this would be the best area to actually check out the performance for this game. And as you can see right here, getting about 40s, 46. 47. Let's start counting the frames again. This is the best area where we could do that. And as you can see, 47 FPS average, 46. It's dropping a lot and it's also starting a little bit. Now it's a little bit better going up here. Maybe there is some issue in this area. This is still in closed beta, so I don't think this is the best they could do. They might be improving the performance of this game. But what are these textures, guys? Oh my god. Okay, so yeah, 50, 53 sometimes in the higher 40s, also in the higher 30s sometimes. It's all over the place. Alright, so what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to try to enable FSR2 now. Alright guys, so we have enabled FSR2 now, and as you can see with FSR2 the performance is improved a little bit. Let's start counting the frames again. Alright guys, so as you can see right here, I've enabled FSR2 on quality now, and the same settings as before on the maximum. And as you can see, we're getting in the 50s now, in the 50s or 60s. Previously we were in the 40s, now we're in the 50s, higher 50s sometimes. Also dropping into the 40s sometimes, but not in the 30s in my opinion. I've not seen 30s yet, but it might be the case. It might come afterwards We never know. All right, let's try to move here. 62 FPS currently, but the 1% and 0.1% lows are pretty bad. 17 and 15, and the game is stuttering a lot in the city area. This is kind of a city area where you could test out the game, but in the 50s now. And FSR 2 implementation in this game doesn't look that bad. It looks a little bit more shimmery and over sharpened, but it's not that bad looking compared to native resolution. So you guys could easily use FSR to 1080p on quality in this game. Now let's move on ahead with further settings. Now let's try to disable global illumination, and let's see if it makes a difference in this area actually or not. Okay, so let's start counting the frames again. If the frames are improved, it looks like nothing is improved and the image quality is still the same. Maybe RT is not being applied, guys, in this area or in this game currently. I don't know what they're gonna do with this, because RT is, I think it's not being applied simply. So whatever the case is, I'm just gonna keep it on for the rest of the settings now, because I don't know if it's making much of a difference by turning on or off. All right, so let's move on ahead with the other preset. Let's move on to very high preset, and yeah, on TA native first. Let's move on to very high. Okay, motion blur is turned on, and this game has pretty bad motion blur, so I wouldn't recommend you guys to use it. Let's just turn it off. Okay, so I've turned off motion blur, depth of field, and let's start counting the frames again. It seems like it's still the same case. No improvement by going to very high settings. And looks like the CPU is getting pegged in this area also now at about 50% CPU usage. So this game is also very CPU intensive in the cities. That means, yeah, 44, 42. If you have a higher end CPU like a Ryzen 5 5600X or Ryzen 7 5700 or something like that, or Ryzen 7 7700, 7600 and something like that, the game will perform better compared to this. Because right now the GPU is not performing fully. It's at 70 to 80% usage. Sometimes it's going into the 90s, but still it's not very good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually go ahead and enable FSR2 on quality on very high settings. Okay, so the frame rate is improved a little bit. Let's start counting the frames again. Looks like in the higher 50s now again. Yeah, 50, 52, 58, 59. Yeah, it seems like it's hovering around 50s. So if you've got this system, actually the same system as Ryzen 5 3600 and RX 6600, you would see it's the same FPS, and you might benefit from actually upgrading your CPU if you want to do that actually. Because Ryzen 5 3600 and RX 6600 is a very good combo in my opinion, and it doesn't bottleneck in many games. But some games actually which are just very CPU intensive don't actually perform very well on a Ryzen 5 3600, but still it's a very good CPU. All right, so as you can see, getting about 60s, close to 60 FPS, this is a very good experience. And in this game you don't require that much higher FPS. It's not that game where you need to aim and stuff at different things. You need to aim at ships and stuff, but it's not that difficult. All right, now let's go to high settings. We are at TA in native high settings now, guys. Let me just turn off depth and motion blur. All right, so as you can see now, still getting in the higher 30s, so it's not making much of a difference. There is some issues with this game that I'm observing. I'm turning down the settings, and you use it, guys, is still saying the same. It's not increasing or decreasing. Yeah, the CPU is getting pegged fully, but the GPU is gonna perform better with the new with other CPUs. But yeah, looking at this performance, I think this game is gonna be a CPU hog, guys, in the city areas at least. So let's just try FSR2 again. All right, so we are at FSR2 quality now, and still looks the same, about 60 FPS average currently. Let's start counting the frames again. Let's see what frame rate do we get. Heading the lower 50s now also. Yeah, it's dropping more in the high settings, guys. This is weird. All right, so I think that's enough for 1080p. We don't want to test. I don't want to test more settings at 1080p. I'm gonna go to 1440p and let's see how this game performs. All right, guys. So we are in the game now. I'm going to actually apply 1440p here. Actually, you can see there is no full screen mode, so I had to restart the game and turn my desktop resolution to 1440p. And yeah, so it's 1440p now, and on the same graphics options currently, I'm gonna turn it to ultra high first. Let's see at ultra high how does it perform actually. So we are going to apply that, and let's head into the game. Alright guys, so we are at 1440p resolution now at ultra high settings, and the game looks very sharp and it looks good in my opinion. The textures are still popping in, so even though the game has loaded fully, it's still popping in. So let's start counting the frames again. Looks like in the higher 30s currently, and oh my god, it's also dropping into the 20s. Okay, now oh my god, the GPU usage is still fluctuating, so it doesn't seem to me like it's a CPU bottleneck, guys. It just seems that the game is unoptimized right now. Because usually when CPU bottlenecks are actually the case, when you get the resolution higher to about 1440p or 4K, the GPU gets usually fully utilized because it puts the load in the GPU more as compared to 1080p. But in this case now, the GPU is still not being utilized fully. So it seems to me like there is some kind of other issue. The RAM is fine, the CPU usage is still the same, GPU usage is still the same, and the frame rate has dropped. So that means that there is some issue with the game's engine currently. And I don't know if they're gonna fix this, guys. Because this game seems like it's gonna release in a short while, in about 2 months or something. So I don't know if they're gonna be able to fix this stuff. So let's just try to apply FSR2, maybe FSR2, yeah. FSR2 is gonna try to fix it at least. Let's start counting the frames again. It's still in the higher 30s. Maybe it's still dropping into the 20s. So there is bound to be some issue, guys, with this game. And actually, VRAM is also at 6 gigabytes. It's not 8 gigabytes fully utilized, so it's not an issue. Yeah, so about 30 FPS. So if you guys lock this frame rate right now in the closed beta at 30, it might fix your issues. But yeah, I don't think it's worth it using 1440p. I wanted to also check it out at 4K, but I don't think I'm gonna do this in this video. So let's just try turning down the settings. I'm gonna straight go to high and not use very high because it didn't make much of a difference at 1080p. Let's go to high settings. Maybe there is a setting that actually is causing these issues. So let's just turn off these two. All right, so high settings. Let's see if it drops. It seems like it's still gonna drop into 20s. Yes, as you can see, it's still dropping into the 20s. So there is some issue with this game's engine, guys, currently. And for the performance, at least, I would say, or not for the gameplay, but for the performance, at least, I would say that this game is not going to perform very well in your systems, at least. So it's 25, 24. Yeah, something is not right with this game's engine. Yeah, 30s, 35, 34. This is not very good. It's still in closed beta. Maybe they have some magic up their sleeves that they're going to do in about 2 months. And this game is going to perform really amazingly in these areas. I don't know, guys. I don't know. So, yeah. Let's just try to go to the very low settings and let's see if it does make a difference or not. So we're at the lowest settings right now. And I'm going to go to native. Okay, this guy is the lowest settings possible in the game at 1440p. We're now in the 40s. So it seems like there is some setting, guys, that is causing issues with it. Maybe there is something. So currently, guys, it seems like the frame rate has increased a little bit. It's in the 40s now at 1440p. So yeah, this is the best you can do, guys, currently in this game, in closed beta at least. And yeah, if you guys want to play this game, you can check it out. And in this state, if this game launches in this state, I would not recommend to buy this because the performance is not very good. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't want anybody's money to be wasted. So if they fix the performance, that's really good. If they don't fix the performance, then the performance is going to be the main hindrance for this game because RX 6600 is not a very good GPU, but it's still considered as a mid-range GPU. So many people are going to have this GPU and this also. Maybe there are some driver issues also with AMD and they're going to fix that. But currently in this state, I would not recommend you to buy it. You can try out the closed beta yourself if you've got access to it. But yeah, so that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you liked it. Please leave a like if you did and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.